the broadcast press conference, London-based scientist Dr. Mei Wan Ho briefed the media on the known health hazards of GM food. This dramatic example was from the work of a Russian team led by Dr. Irina Ermakova.
Scientists of the Russian Academy of Sciences, she found that feeding genetically modified soya, Roundup soya in fact, to pregnant rats caused them to give birth to severely stunted offspring.
This image shows a normal-sized rat born to a mother who was fed non-GM food. The rat below, with severely stunted growth, was born to a rat which was fed genetically modified soya while pregnant. 36% of rats born to GM-fed mothers were stunted, compared with just 6% in the non-GM-fed group.
So these are real concerns about this new technology. Is it safe for human well-being? And the answer is we don't know, and there are major questions. Is it safe for the environment, for the flourishing of biodiversity? Again, we can actually say it's not. So why is it being introduced? Is there a huge demand from consumers, from farmers? There isn't. The demand has come from the biotech companies themselves, because they see enormous profits there.
One of the largest biotech companies is Monsanto, the US corporation that developed the Roundup soya fed to the rats in the Russian study. Monsanto has a mixed track record when it comes to the way it operates. Li Ling-ching from Thailand explains.
And you might have heard that earlier this year, Monsanto was charged for corruption in Indonesia. They were fined in the US by the Securities Exchange Commission of the US $1.5 million for bribing government officials in Indonesia, including a bribe to try and repeal a decree which actually required an environmental impact assessment for the GM crops, and payments of approximately $700,000 were made to at least 140 current and former Indonesian government officials and their family members.
While governments around the world have different ways of dealing with biotech companies, one common feature is that many governments are walking away from publicly funded independent research. This leaves the public increasingly dependent on what private corporations tell them.
I call it here, farewell to independent science. The most important thing in this area for developing better varieties of crops for our food need is, of course, that we do need science, all kinds of science, plant biology and many other scientific disciplines. But the problem at the moment is that science is more and more and more being colonized by the biotech corporations.
The proponents of GM, I think, have managed to take the political scene, get a lot of government support. The government has set up organizations to support them. An equivalent amount of money needs to be spent on safety issues and on testing issues, and they need to be publicly funded, and it needs to be totally independent. It is not good enough to have commercial organizations doing tests, claiming that they know the results, but they're not prepared to tell you what they are. You should not have to rely upon what is told to you by people who might have conflicts of interest.